Well, thank you for that introduction. I understood some of it clearly. I loved the picture of the dinosaurs. I think that's quite important. Okay. What I'm going to do now, I've got, first of all, can everybody understand me? I apologise if you can't, but English is unfortunately the only language I am able to speak confidently. And some people say I don't actually speak it that confidently anyway. But no, please, if there is anything that you want me to explain as I go through this, please don't hesitate to stop and ask. What I've been asked to do today, this morning, is talk about enterprise asset management specifically, and the offer that IFS has for that market. So we're looking here at companies that have got a large number of assets that they look after, that they maintain, that they use to either produce goods or sell. Could be electricity, could be chemicals, could be processing, could be cars, could be, it's anything within those types of industries. And firstly, I'm going to just talk a little bit about IFS position in the enterprise asset management market. And then after my colleague Pekka from Finland has shown you some of the common features in IFS, I will come back and just talk a little bit more detailed on enterprise asset management. Maybe I stand over here because I think that's probably a better, yeah. So I've worked for IFS for 18 years. And prior to that, I worked in industry, in maintenance, in manufacturing, in production. So, and I did that job for sort of 17, 18 years. So you can tell I've actually been working a lot longer than I look. I think I look quite young, but I've been working a long time. Currently, I'm the industry director for energy and utilities and asset intensive. And this is a business development role. And I've been doing that role for 3 or 4 years within IFS. But prior to that, I actually implemented the product. So I was an implementation consultant, project manager, project sponsor. So I actually helped customers implement our solution and achieve success in doing that. And I think that is a key point, and I think it came out in the introduction. What you receive with IFS is flexibility and agility to implement the solution. I have implemented this solution in a short period of time, small numbers of months, and on larger, more complex projects, it takes longer, obviously. But this is a nice, agile solution that can be implemented in a nice step-by-step approach. If I take us back a little bit, just go back to the beginning of the company, we were formed back in the early 80s. We were formed in Sweden. We're a Swedish software vendor. We were formed by 5 students who were all at university together, and in the summer one year they all got a job in a nuclear power station. And one of the things that they did was that they realised that the power station could benefit from a system that could introduce standard ways of working, standard processes, standard maintenance procedures, those sort of things. So they built a maintenance management solution. And that is important for those of us that are interested in asset maintenance, asset management, because we come to the enterprise solution from a maintenance background. The other thing that's important about this slide, is that they pitched this tent. Oh, excuse me. They pitched a tent to be close to the customer. And again, that is something that is very common in IFS, in all regions of the world, that we like to stay close. We involve our customers in communicating where we are going with the product, taking information from customers on where they think we should be going with the product, and we listen to that. And I'll introduce a little bit more about that as we go through. So that's where we were over 30 years ago, but we still continue to grow. We have some slides that show that we are growing at a faster pace than the rest of the stock market in Sweden. All of the key indicators to do with the company are going in the right direction, as you would hope. Where are we today? We have a turnover in excess of 3 billion SEK, somewhere in the region of $400 million. We have over nearly 2,500 customers. Last year, we reached our 1 millionth user of the application, and we have somewhere in the region of just over 2,700 employees. And this chart shows the locations of our offices. What has changed in recent times with IFS is we have recognized that to grow the company further, we need to work much closer with partners. That is absolutely the strategy from the top, and that is why we are here today with Effecto, to work much closer at growing the whole market. So the future of IFS is a partner model. In terms of what do we invest our research and development dollars in, it's these 4 areas. So our money into R&D goes into manufacturing. We have always been interested in manufacturing and have a huge number of manufacturing customers. Service and asset, that's the asset management, plus service companies that go around and carry out sort of minor activities. And another area that we continue to invest huge amounts of money into is projects and project management. And this is if we were constructing new infrastructure, new roads, new bridges, new rail lines, new energy facilities, new buildings. You know, that whole area of projects is again something that we have invested in heavily. And in the middle of all of this is clearly the supply chain solution. Inventory handling, sales management, procurement, all of those sort of areas, as well as clearly finance and HR. So within our solution, this is where the bulk of our investment goes. However, we do not target banks, insurance companies, other areas of financial institutions. We focus only on 11 industries. Now you might say, well, 11 industries is quite a huge number to focus on, but a large proportion of these industries, asset intensive, oil and gas, energy and utilities, you know, they all have huge numbers of assets. They are all very interested in enterprise asset management. I have a maintenance reference in process manufacturing, in brewing. I have a very good reference in the UK that is brewing whiskey. And they use IFS to manage all of the maintenance of the bottling facilities, the packaging facilities, all of those sort of process parts of that value chain. So retail, I don't intend to talk about retail. I'm not an expert in this area, but we have a very good retail solution. We have some very good references of retail customers that have gone live in very short time frames. And we typically partner there with another organisation on a point of sales solution. But within the group, we have industry directors that look after all of these industries. And for us, it gives us a good focus. And the bulk of these are asset management type organisations. If I just cover off, and I apologise, I think it's maybe gone a bit squiffy on the projector, but just a little bit of a summary of asset intensive, specifically for IFS. We declare just over 50% of that total revenue, if you remember, 3 billion SEK, nearly $400 million. We declare that over 50% of that is driven by enterprise asset management solutions. So that you can see it's quite a huge proportion. The types of industries we're looking at here: mining, ports, manufacturing plants, transportation, rail, metro, telecoms, process industries, all of those sort of things. And we have some references in the middle: pulp and paper, steel, manufacturing, recycling. And I'll talk about references and some case studies a little bit further. If you look at the world map up here, this is telling you where our revenue and our customer base comes from. So 44% of our customer base is in the European area. So that's Scandinavia, Europe West, Europe Central. So the bulk, and Europe East. So the bulk of our revenue is still being generated for those regions for us. We would prefer to try and bring more revenue in from North America, but that's a challenge that we have to address. But our main focus is clearly still on sort of mainland Europe, Eastern Europe, Baltic states, those sort of areas. Yeah. The other important thing that you might want to be aware of is that the cost per user, in a study that was done by the Aberdeen report, admittedly a few years ago now, was that we were the lowest cost of user in the enterprise sort of space. You may follow the Gartner. Gartner are a team of analysts, and they report on software vendors. And I position this here because, okay, the dinosaurs are still leading in this sort of space, but we are the only challenger. This is 2015. This is a recent report. It's specifically for energy and utilities, and specifically for enterprise asset management. And we are the only leader the only challenger in this market. And if you read the comments that are made by Gartner, is that Gartner will say that we have, compared to the others, above average satisfaction in product and service levels. What Gartner do is they talk to our customers. They don't just talk to us as the vendor, they talk to the customers. And our customers generally are always very positive. They say that we can be deployed as a full ERP solution, as well as elements of sort of best of breed. So that's important. So we're a challenger in this market. In these two markets, we are in the leaders quadrant. Yeah? So these are for field service. And here we are competing against some very niche field service vendors that have a very small offering for customers that have maybe a huge call center, you know, thousands of people in a call center taking calls, sending out engineers. And this is a project manufacturing quadrant as well. So we're leaders in these two quadrants as well. So that's important. The other thing that IFS do that we've not seen other vendors do is every quarter we tell you, if we can get agreement from the customers that we sign, we publish this information. And nobody else does that. These are customer wins in the last 12 months. So it's not all our customers. These are just customers that we have either, some of these are add-on deals, but some of them are brand new names. And the way in which we do this is we break this down by industries. So we've got nuclear power here, we've got nuclear power here. Strangely, we've got nuclear, you know, so there's a lot of power companies here as well as normal power companies. There's construction, automotive, asset intensive. Retail here, you know, an excellent upgrade from the Swedish alcohol organisation that's gone very, very well. In terms of pure asset-centric customers, I've just got some names here. I'm generally happy to talk about any of these names. I have some understanding of what we have done in all of these organisations. Port of Dover is it's an interesting deal for us. This was a deal that we won last year, and I did a little bit of implementation work on this. This is a port. It's basically a ferry terminal, so it has somewhere in the region, I think, 14 million people going through this terminal every year, going across to France on ferries. But they have huge numbers of properties on their estate, hotels, shops, car parks. So there is a huge element of facilities management, asset management, estate management. There are obviously all of the infrastructure and facilities involved in ferries coming in and docking. They have a small amount of cargo handling. They have a cruise terminal as well. They have a small little marina as well. And all of this is now being managed in some way using IFS. That customer has just gone live. It's a fantastic, hopefully will become a fantastic reference for us. And then we have companies like Neste Oil in Finland that are using us for upstream refining of materials to into the oil and gas, petrochemical value chain. And then if I look at specifically energy and utility customers, we've got somewhere in the region of over 200. Lots of names on there that you may be familiar with, some big, some small. Some of these customers are only using our asset management solution. Some of these are using the full enterprise solution. So, I'm going to cover off some of these in a little bit more detail. Okay, now, one of the other things that we have done recently is we have made some acquisitions. And personally, I got very excited about this acquisition that we made in July. We purchased a company from Netherlands, and this company had a product that's around performance management, but this is not business intelligence, please. This is more predictive, more, looking into the future. This is about matching the strategy of the organisation with the operational intelligence. They come from a banking background. So they're very much able to handle big data, huge volumes of data analysis in very short periods of time, very much able to predict what's likely to happen. So we acquired this company, and I was lucky enough to work on a couple of projects where we implemented this solution in Emirates and a power station in China. And what in the Emirates scenario, there was a requirement to predict. The Emirates were building the biggest engine overhaul shop in the world, of course, in Dubai. And this was a new facility, a new greenfield facility. There was nothing there, and they decided we're going to build a new engine overhaul shop to repair, obviously, the new Airbus and Boeing aircraft. And they used this tool to manage the implementation and the construction of the repair shop, the engine overhaul shop. So this tool has capability to map organisations, to define process models of your organisation, to link those models to responsibilities, to roles, to the organisation structure, and then follow that all the way through to when you open up the new facility. And that was a really exciting opportunity for us. So that company has been acquired. We have since changed the name of the product, if you like, and we're now talking about Enterprise Operational Intelligence. And again, I've got another little bit of detail about that. Okay, any questions thus far before I talk a little bit about the product? Oh. So, I'm going to ask you a question now. Let's see if you are paying. Has anybody seen this picture before? Quite a few of you, yeah. Okay, thank you. So, this is a representation of the component offer that we have. And the way this works is that we have sort of built bricks here of all of the elements that make up IFS Financial. So our financial solution, you have accounts payable, accounts receivable, consolidation. In maintenance, we have obviously our equipment register, linear assets, work orders, OEE, all of those types of individual components. And this is a little bit more of a marketing presentation of what we have. If you were to buy the solution from us through Effecto, you can build the solution as you go. You could implement a very small element of the solution and build on that. Port of Dover, who I mentioned previously, they went live first on call centre and HR. So they put some elements of HR in, not recruitment, not development, but they put in training management, time and attendance, employee management, health service. So they just created the organisation of their company in the database. And they also implemented a very small area, which I may or may not find. call centre, wherever call centre is. Sales and service, it'll be in here somewhere. Yeah, here. And they did that, and document management they implemented. And they implemented these solutions first, just to get a little bit of a win, to make everybody feel that the team were moving forward. So within sort of 3 to 4 months of signing, we managed to get those solutions in. No big effect to the business. Previously, they were running HR on spreadsheets and stuff, so they just moved it into IFS. And then, just recently, we've then put the whole of the rest of the application in that is relevant. Financials, projects, supply chain, and maintenance. And there are many companies that implement IFS in that very step-by-step way. If I am talking to asset management companies, I tend to talk more around something like a solution map. Because what I am trying to portray is that there is a process that over the life of an asset you may move through from, you may be generally just looking after assets, but you may be bringing new assets on. So there's a new design of new facilities or new, to meet new emission standards or new legislation. And in the early stages of asset design and construction, we would typically be looking at our project management solution. This is a solution that you could use to first initially conceptualize what we're planning to do. You create a work breakdown structure, and then you can potentially execute on that work breakdown structure. And what is unique about IFS is that we are able to manage the asset management program through that early life cycle. Because we have asset design and other capabilities to enable us to connect the asset that you are looking to construct with a project. But around the periphery, we have all of these supporting processes. HR we've mentioned. Document management, we maybe touch a few screens later on today to show you some of the capabilities around document management. This is a feature that is available everywhere in the application that allows you to connect any type of document media, Word, Excel, CAD, video, photographs, to any of the business objects. Very important in asset management. We may have the procedures, condition photographs. And then within other supporting processes, we have health and incident management. We have a fantastic example in the company that are running all of the airports in Scandinavia that use our health and incident management capability to just register things that happen on the whole estate. So maybe there was somebody that slipped outside a WC facility. Maybe somebody was struggling to take a baggage off the conveyor. Maybe there was a travelator that was always breaking down. All of these are incidents and potentially accidents. And we have good references of just using that solution on its own. So again, I think my main point here is that you can build the solution as you go, achieving value in a very short period of time with the application. One of the things that is becoming very new now is model-driven design. Is anybody looking at things like, have anybody heard of something called BIM? Maybe not. It's another acronym. Building. Who is, sorry, sir?
In Lithuania, BIM will be implemented.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so I mean, what I take from BIM, BIM is where you will model in another tool, not IFS, not IFS. This is not IFS, I say. But you will model what you are constructing, what you are building, the infrastructure that you are going to construct. You will model it in another tool. And typically, these tools exist in different systems out in the facility. But what we are confident that will happen is that generally these tools will all have open standards. So you will be able to interface the data from these tools directly into IFS. And this, again, we believe is unique for our offer because we can manage assets early in their life cycle. So in the UK and other parts of the world where they are the government have made a statement, our government have made a statement that said every project, every construction activity that happens in the UK must start its life from this type of model. And it's about achieving these standards so that they can better manage these infrastructure projects. So that's something that we're doing a lot of work with at the moment. And what I hope that we will do is we will be able to visualize those models direct in the application. At the moment, this is work that is being done in our lab. But most of the work, most of the modelling and the engineering and the CAD type work is done in those tools, but you will be able to visualise them directly in the application. And as I say, it's all about this life cycle, even to the extent that if you are operating assets and you are carrying out preventative maintenance and condition management and those sort of things, you might have use for processes to improve the maintenance, like, for example, our RCM. RCM, again, is it's an improvement methodology for analysing the tasks and the maintenance that you're doing and refining those based on failure modes and the condition of the actual sort of plant. So what we have here is, I think I actually wish I had the slides as they were before with a little bit missing here. It's a shame, but so what we have is we are unique in being able to manage that whole sort of life cycle. Okay, in terms of what the whole solution looks like, I prefer to represent it in this sort of way. So, we have things, I may talk a little bit later about some of the integration that we have to geospatial tools so that you can visualize better where your assets are. We have a new feature that we have only launched in the last version, compatible units, but this is where we are building repeat engineering elements that are similar. And all of these areas link into design objects and projects sit over that. We have recently built new functionality around property lease management. So if we have a number of buildings and we have tenants we are leasing some of those buildings, then, and we are still maintaining them, we have built functionality around that. Obviously, we need to then manage the invoicing. There's preventative maintenance, scheduling. And when it comes down to actual work execution on the assets, we are using work orders, and against work orders, you can book your time, materials, expenses, purchasing, third-party, subcontract costs. All of that cost collection is all managed into the sort of work order world. So generally, an EAM solution would look more like this. Let's just skip over this one. I think when Pekka gets on to talking about IFS, he's going to show you how user-friendly it is. This is a lobby view that we've now got. So this is the application, for those of you that have not seen the application in its latest format. I'm sure he will show us this. And the important part and point is that we, as an organisation, have really focused on the user experience to try and make it simple. We recognise there's a lot of people that are used to using, simple, easy to use applications, and we have to make sure that ours is like that. And thus, we have a mobile solution. We have a number of flavours of mobile solutions for sales management, approvals, audits, those sort of things. So over here we are more in what we would call the white collar areas, people that are using them just for small, simple, repetitive tasks. Whereas over here we have the solution for the real workforce, where he or she is maintaining plant and they're recording what they're doing directly in the application. So the application that we have, it works in any setting, regardless of geography. We have language capability, we have multi-currency capability, all of those important elements if you are a global organisation. It can function in different devices, handhelds, tablets, desktop type features, smartphones, those sort of things. It is also available in the cloud. I know in the introduction we talked a little bit about the cloud. I may have mentioned big companies, but a lot of our customers are small companies as well. There is a variation of all of them.